It should be good. Mm. Please, 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 please. Speeds were excellent. I don't know. It was like 50 up and 50 down. Are only supposed to need five. Oh, thank God. Right, I'll mute us. We got one watching now. I think that might be just us.
Possibly.
Okay. Hi, person, or if people are starting to log on and we're behind, um, just give us 1 minute.
No,
We'll
we are live.
we are we are live.
Yeah. Oh, I need to tweet this out.
Yes, and Discord.
Yes, as usual. Our usual organized selves.
Our resident social media chimp or chump, whatever way you want to say it. Do you know while we're doing the social media posting, I
Yes.
found out that the word chump is lost on this generation.
How?
A bunch of young people in my work, I called someone a chump, not one of them.
Okay.
I think I called Andrew Tate a chump. And they were like, what the hell's a chump? And I was like, a chump is a hard word to describe if you don't know what it is already.
How?
Like, it's not quite an idiot, is it?
No, it's like a loser.
Like a sucker.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a bit got a bit of sucker element to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, as I look at my phone because you reading this.
Professional, much like Sheiky Baby.
And yeah. So
Welcome, welcome. People starting to join now. Can see that. We're just going to give it a minute and then we'll get going here. Welcome to the undisclosed bunker near Heathrow Airport, where we are recording from. You know, we don't want to tell people the exact hotel, Lee, because we'll just get swamped.
oh,
The
people
public will just
people will be banging down the
light
doors.
it up. They'll be standing outside waiting for autographs while we get onto the tour bus. You know how it is.
We should say we had the genius idea like 15 minutes ago that we maybe should have
Mhm.
asked for a meeting room.
Yeah, yeah. See, this is when it's your first time doing this kind of stuff. It's not doesn't automatically come to mind, does it? But if you're stopping by and you're not you don't know who we are I'm Dave Easley. We are the hosts of Days of Thunder on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. And we had the pleasure of being in Wembley Stadium this evening for All In. So that's what we're here to have a bit of a chat about shortly.
Yeah, so I've done my
Get settled
phone,
in.
so I'm getting putting down the phone.
People who are here, let us know if you can hear us, if everything's okay, because we obviously can't hear us.
Yes,
So just let us know if that's okay. I'm not sure if we know how to fix it. If they can't hear us, but it'll just be good to know.
we can show a little bit louder.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if we can with neighbors and stuff.
sure, look, they have to understand that they're next to some incredibly famous podcasters.
Podcasters, certainly some podcasters, that's for sure.
Uh, but yeah, so before we get into the show, the actual show itself, we should say we've had a quite enjoyable weekend in London.
Yeah, for sure. I've been here since Thursday,
Mm,
and you came in on Friday.
yes.
Now nothing related to our obvious massive podcast success, but we both did the VIP lounge experience on the way over. Uh, to get us away from the awful. Hey, Suits in the chat. Hi, Suit. How you doing? Sorry if it sounds like we're on NyQuil, by the way. We are in a hotel room and we're unsure if there's any occupants either side of my room. So we're going to try and keep it a bit civil. But once you can hear us, that's everything's
I
copacetic.
should also say I did knock on the wrong door, so they may be listening now to
He
what
did.
exactly is
He
going on.
did. In the 10 minutes prior to us coming up to the room, I told Lee twice where the
Yes,
room is, and he still knocked on the wrong room door.
for people who may doubt my intelligence.
You removed all doubt.
Yes.
It wouldn't be us without a certain slapstick element to the evening, I don't think.
Yeah.
But no, it's been a really good weekend in London. This is only like is it your second or third trip of your adult life to London?
Second. Last year was my
Second.
first, yeah.
Last year was your
Since
big
I was a
return to
child, yeah,
London.
yeah.
Yeah. So like I come here like once or twice a year, even before the wrestling. So I like breaks in London. We've had some great food.
We
Like you
have.
want to do
Yeah.
snack talk, guys. We've had some great food. My first night I went and had Korean barbecue.
Hmm.
I was telling you about the Korean barbecue I had.
You did.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, it was so good. I had like braised short rib and like a broth
Mm.
with some fried rice. It shit rocked. Um, where else have we gone? We went to one of our favorite places,
We
Bodine's
did. We
yesterday.
went and got some good sticky barbecue yesterday.
Yeah, it's like a Kansas barbecue chain that's here in London. Really enjoyed that. Um, and even where did we go today?
Oh, today we.
We went to just a place called Chicken
Oh
Shop,
yeah, it's like most nondescript looking place, but had
yeah,
a great chicken burger.
which in spite of the fact that it's just called Chicken Shop, was actually like pretty hipstery. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like like you said, it's then very nondescript, but it rocked, and the milkshakes were really good as well.
Mm.
It certainly like was way better than the extortionate price of food in Wembley Stadium tonight. That's for sure. I think I got chicken tendies, fries, and two Pepsi Maxes for 22 of the
Oh,
King's pounds.
fuck. We won't bury Dave for when he went to get the chicken tendies. That will remain a mystery.
That will remain a mystery. Also, we were at a very nice level in Wembley
Yeah.
Stadium that had a Marks and Spencer's store on our floor, so it felt like we made a very good choice.
We may have actually ended up in the posh seats unknowingly.
Also, before we get into the show, I guess big shout out to the Inadvertent Podcasters Summit that we had this weekend. Shout out to Kieran and Mark, the Must See Matches boys,
Yes.
who we met for lunch. Had a great pancakes in My Old Dutch in Holborn.
Hmm.
Shout out to Gareth Kidney of this
Yes.
August podcast network, who we've spent about half the weekend with. And shout out as well to Joey Doherty, who
Yes, we met at Wembley.
we met at Wembley, we embraced, we hugged as men do. And it was a great time. But I guess without further ado, because it is currently 10 past 1 in the morning
In
here in London,
in the AM, as they say.
I think it's time to talk some all in.
Mm.
Now, Lee, broad strokes before we get into I have our match breakdown here.
Yes.
What did you think of the show this year? And I suppose a comparison between this year and last year?
Um, I feel like this year's show was far superior overall.
Yeah,
Not just accounting for the massive difference in the main events. Um, I really, really enjoyed the majority of this year's show. Like, without getting too much into it, like the pre-show was just a collection of fun matches.
yeah.
Um, that was obviously the massive return, which we'll talk about.
Hmm.
And then we had the main show, which had probably two bad matches, and then the rest just kind of all kicked ass.
Yeah, I think the one thing about the show compared to last year is that it felt like it really whipped by, even though it was a very long show. Like we got in
Mm.
at doors opened at 3:30 p.m. and I think we left at 10, 6.5 hours
Yes,
door to door. Um, so long, but it really didn't feel long. And I think the show was paced way better.
absolutely.
I think 2023 completely fell off like maybe 2 to 3 matches from the end, if I recall
Mhm.
rightly. Like the pace just went,
Mhm.
and so did our energy. Rich is in the chat. We had
It
a
was a
great
really
time.
good show to be at. Yeah.
Like in the building, we've mostly stayed clear of the online takes. We have seen like bits and pieces coming out of the show, and I really hope the atmosphere of the building translated well, because almost everything, we will get to what wasn't, but almost everything was hot in the building.
Yeah, like
Um,
there was some huge, like incredible pops on the show, and I really hope, like we all know that AEW's production doesn't always deliver.
yeah,
So I really hope they actually caught just how hot a lot of stuff was in the building.
One of the things I did see on Twitter is that apparently the production from a home viewing standpoint as well was on point today.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. I don't have a lot of complaints about the production in the
Yeah.
building. We were kind of worried during the pre-show as one of the large screens in the stadium wasn't turned on and it was the one that was facing us. So it was the one we kind of would have needed. But as soon as the main show started,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that came on. So that was maybe the only thing we were a little bit concerned about. Um, but yeah, I think like the thing I keep hitting home, like we will talk about some great matches on this show, but it was the pace and the flow of the show that I really in the building enjoyed anyway.
Mm.
I felt, I think by the was it the six man last year in the semi main and the death plot
Oh
that
God, yeah.
I could feel myself falling asleep. And then that main event, obviously, like we weren't fans of it. It just killed the
Hmm.
enthusiasm we had. Um, it was, I wouldn't say in terms of sound, it was noticeable that there was 30,000 less people.
No.
We were face on with the stage, so you could see the tarped areas behind the entrance. But other than that, like I never really felt my eyes were drawn to empty seats, like because it felt like a full building.
Yeah, like I know there was the worry that, having 55,000 in an 80 seat stadium would feel somewhat cavernous at times, but it
Hmm.
really didn't. Like the atmosphere really carried it, and I think the stage was like I when we saw the early shot of the stage, we're like, oh, it's the same stage.
Yeah.
But once we got into Wembley itself, we could see it was actually a fucking massive
Yeah, I
stage.
think I said to you, like, as soon as we sat down, I was like, it's very Wrestle Kingdom, the
Yeah,
stage with the multi levels and the spotlights and things like that. And I really did appreciate that element of it. Um, yeah, like just stage was on point. Our seats, I think we did much better this year
hmm,
with our seats. We were really happy. You can see in the Days of Thunder channel on the Discord where we got for our seats.
yes,
We're very happy with it. Um, I guess is that it before we kind of get into
yeah.
matches?
Let's get into the
I'll
matches
put over the
because
tennies. Tennies are pretty. The tennies are pretty nice. There was a good spice in the coating, and the chips were perfectly cooked. And then our good friend Jack Lazell, shout out Jack, got us some Millionaire shortbread
he did.
to share for a
He
little
made the
group.
Marks and Spencer run.
Yeah. We had it was a great team of us sitting together for the second successive year. Yourself, myself, friend of the show, Jack Lazell, and the man behind not only emojis as a concept, but also the graphic for Days of Thunder, Keith Broney.
Yes.
So shout out to those guys who heroically put up with the two of us for the whole weekend. Let's talk about the pre-show,
Yes.
shall we? There was less if you're in the building, there was less faff on the pre-show because we
Mm,
weren't getting all the on-ramp bits with Renee and all the backstage bits and all the kind of the panel with Jeff Jarrett. We weren't seeing any of that.
no.
So everybody was just kind of mooching about and chatting with each other and stuff like that. So that kind of that bit flew by. And then we got into our first match, which is like, will I even read out all 16 of them? The fucking the 16 man tag, fucking everybody who was around and had gear was in it. Um,
Look, the best part of the 16-man tag was the fact that Evil Uno was so terrified of Hangman that he decided to not be in the
yeah,
panel
because
or the gauntlet. Sorry.
also he did the great shout out to Brody Lee. He did the paper spot in
Oh,
the
did
middle of
he?
the match. Yeah,
Okay.
he came down with the papers, and then at one point I can't remember who he threw it at, but he threw the papers at someone's
Okay,
face
I missed that.
in the middle of the match, and that was pretty good. It also like it didn't like a lot of stuff on the pre-show, it didn't outstay its welcome.
No.
Like it was just a little over 10 minutes. And I think what's hard when the screens weren't on is if it's a big multi-man match, it was kind of hard for people up higher to see what was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on.
yeah. Yeah.
So like in its pre-show, it's not going to be as heated as main card,
Mhm.
but like even still for that, I think it was tough. It was tough on them. But again, it zipped by. There was some fun spots going on in it. Um, Next up we had, I think what like was the highlight of the pre-show for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and that was Willow and Big Tom Ishii against Stat and Stokely Hathaway. I think from the moment Stokely came out
His
on
chariot.
his resplendent gold uh
Was it bed
Brody.
or
Yeah,
chariot to throne?
yeah, yeah. I think it had me. We were kind of wondering which would be the better finish. Is it like Ishii kills him stone dead, Willow kills him stone dead, or he somehow gets a slip on a banana peel
Yeah,
win
yeah, yeah.
against Big Tom Ishii, and then like next 5 years you're hearing in promos from Stokely Hathaway that he's 1-0 against
Mhm.
Ishii. I think it was a lot of fun. I think again I was worried because Stoke was in it that we would get a lot of Stat and Willow, and we wouldn't have a lot left on the table for their big like final blow off match of the feud. But I think the match was put together well enough.
Yes.
I don't feel my appetite for seeing the two of them was sated.
No, they worked pretty much all of the early and middle portion of the match, and then the closing stretch was just Stokely and Ishii
Yeah,
with Willow kind of mixed in.
gotta be said. Stokely hitting the Rock spine buster
Ah,
and Ishii immediately popping up like the shark from Jaws
yeah.
behind him. Just great visual and a great like that they caught that exact
Hmm.
moment from the right angle on the camera. We had Team Texas plus Katsuyori Shibata wrestling the Undisputed Kingdom and the Cage of Agony.
Yes.
Now, some have said, Lee, that Brian Cage and Sammy Guevara were both coming out in Wolverine gear, but I contend that Sammy Guevara was coming out in AFC Wimbledon gear to shore up local support, but unfortunately didn't work for him as
He got
the man got
out of the
booed out
building.
of the building.
I don't know if that came across on the show
He
or not.
got as big a boo as Dustin Rhodes got a pop.
Yes.
You know, people love them some Dustin Rhodes in London tonight, and
Also,
rightfully so.
it has to be said, the Von Erich's Stranglehold sound alike is fucking quality.
It is very good. I should say that it was at this point that I realized we were sitting in front of one of the more annoying men on earth.
Oh,
He was a man who maybe 10 to 15 seconds after something became apparent in the ring would go, "Oh, they're going to do that."
ah,
So like they're setting up the bit where Kevin Von Erich does the claw, right? And it's clear, like it's telegraphed
yes.
from a mile away that they're going to do the claw. And then like he's in position and he's literally about to lift his hand to do the claw. And this guy behind us goes, "Oh, I think he's going to do the claw."
No, the guy behind us or the guy in front of us?
The guy directly behind me.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, those guys
With
were,
like a denim jacket, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So like he thankfully got quieter as the night went on, in terms of his like thinking he's some grand prognosticator, which is good. I think he got into it with like he was enjoying there was like a child that was like diagonal behind me, and he was enjoying explaining things to the child who I
yeah.
think was a WWE fan. So that kind of kept him distracted.
Well, there was a collection of WWE fans behind us who some of the comments were just,
I
oh
wonder
God.
were those the guys that did the stand up to WWE taking a knee
I,
outside
look,
Wembley that have gone around on Twitter today?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay, so main show then. Um, four-way London ladder
Well,
match.
we forgot. We need to touch on the big return
Oh yeah,
on the pre-show.
yes, yes. So Saraya came out,
Yes.
claiming she's like the best women's wrestler that England ever produced. And thank God, we both shouted, thank God,
Hmm.
Jamie Hayter is back. So she came back. She took out the entire Knight family,
Yes.
biggest babyface reaction to that point on the show. And now we have Jamie Hayter mixing it up back in that division.
The last time that many nights were taken out at once was when Asbos became a thing.
Is your immediate assumption that they'll do like a one and done
Oh, they
at
have to.
All Out?
Well, even if it's on Dynamite, they have to do a Soraya Jamie Hayter match, and
Yeah, yeah. But glad to have her back. And then like I think there was a sense of disappointment from some people that she didn't interrupt one of the title matches because
no.
people wanted her inserted right back in. But I
No.
guess some have when I think about it more is like that's not usually Tony's style.
Mhm.
It's like you reintroduce someone, heat them up, and then give them a title. So I guess maybe it was an unreasonable expectation of ours.
No, I'm really glad that they reintroduced her and have kept her away from Brit,
Yeah, yes, yes.
who we will get to later on.
Out of the Brit vortex.
Yes.
We
Oh,
coined the Brit vortex,
mm,
unless Joe already did on the instant reaction.
maybe
Who's to say? Right, now we can jump to the main show.
we can.
The London Ladders match, four-way. We had Pac and the BCC, we had the Patriarchy, we had the Bang Bang Gang, and we had the Spooky Boys House of Black.
What did you think of the idea of doing the intros for this on the pre-show?
I liked it. I couldn't believe like they started doing the entrances with 9 minutes 30 seconds to go onto the thing, and I was like,
Mm.
how are they going to stretch out 4 entrances over 9 minutes 30? They did
They
it.
did, yeah.
Well, I think they were all in the ring, kind of like doing their idle pose at each
Mm,
other with about a minute to go.
okay.
I think it's really good because then you just do the quick VT because like by the time the pre-show ends, most of the pay-per-view audience have tuned in. So it's not they're not missing anything if they like
There,
entrances.
there was no like natural or national anthem and that kind of stuff to kill time.
And maybe like I can see the thinking that like if you're literally you pull the pre-show just as they're about to fight, you go, okay, maybe I will buy it. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it also gives you the benefit of letting your show flow really well from
Hmm.
the start because you go, right, here we are.
Just
Some of our favorite dynamites.
oh yeah, just
Literally just graphic and we're in the ring,
hmm.
ding ding, let's go. So I did really like that. And I really like this match.
I thought this match was really good.
I think these guys really, really put in an effort and killed themselves. I'm very thankful that Christian Cage didn't do anything too silly.
Yes.
Uh, um, because again, there's a man with a long-standing 25-year habit of doing silly things when there's a
Hmm.
ladder near him, and he doesn't have to anymore.
It looked like like I was worried he had legit hurt himself on the spear into the table.
Yes, yes,
I was like, oh, but no, he seemed okay. So
yeah. Pac is a crazy man.
yes, he is.
Nick Wayne is a crazy man.
Yes, he is.
I thought Nick Wayne had been killed stone dead on that spot where he hit the table on the outside that was propped up against the ramp because he
Mhm.
just like did not budge for pretty much the rest of the match, if I recall. And there's something that we comment on during this match is like we're really happy with the guns right now.
Yeah,
Like
they're in a good place.
the ass boys are like they've settled into a position we're quite happy with them in. They're lackeys still to Juice and
Mhm.
Jay, but they've improved enough that they can be in some really fun
Yes.
matches with the right guys. Like I'm not looking at them to lead a dance.
Hmm.
I'm not looking at them to have another substantial tag title run, but this is the level that they're
And
comfortable
as
with.
gatekeepers to the tag team titles, I think they're perfectly positioned.
There's something to be said for that role on your roster of being the tag team that you maybe have a TV feud with on
Hmm.
your way to a substantial, like a number one contender
Absolutely.
shot, you know?
Also, shout out to Juice Robinson, who I thought was a really good glue guy in this match.
He really was, yeah. And he a couple of times I feared for his life as well. I don't think he did anything too.
Well, there was the bump off the really tall ladder
There's the bump off. Yeah, he did the
onto the
bump off the
ropes.
top ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I was actually thinking like taking the bump off the top ladder onto your like rope first onto your nuts is probably preferable to any other solution to falling off that
Mhm.
ladder. You take that one.
I think for us, the Packville Combat Club was the preferred winner.
Blackpool Combat Club is a great one.
It
That's
really
the
is.
first I've heard of it.
They were our preferred winners and really glad to
Yes,
see them win because this opens up so many avenues for going
yes.
forward.
Now you were talking to me about that. Was this an idea you had, or was this an idea that has been
No,
had?
this was my own
Yeah,
idea
so
that I hatched.
this was partly. Do you want to explain the where you think this or where you would like this to lead to?
So my general idea was that John Moxley has been off TV since he lost the IWGP title. That now we have Pac, who I could be misremembering this, but he was like kind of linked to the Blackpool Combat Club at its beginning. There was like some kind of were they gonna invite Pac
An
in?
uneasy alliance.
Yeah. And now that Pac and the boys are the trios champs, I said, my idea was that so everybody has a title. Claudio obviously won the CMLL Grand Prix this weekend.
Brought the
Also,
trophy out.
he did. Uh, Danielson obviously is now the world champ.
Hmm.
So my idea would be that Moxley comes back extremely pissed that he is now the only unsuccessful member of the club. And this is how we get to the big blow off of the BCC.
That Brian won a world title and his other pals won belts without him.
Mm-hmm. And this other guy is now seemingly friendly with them.
Yeah, yeah. So would you have him go directly after Pac, or would you have him go?
I'd have him go
Obviously,
after Brian.
I want them to be one of Brian's
Mm-hmm.
last matches.
Absolutely.
I'd maybe even like do that. Is it Wrestle Dream is in Tacoma?
Yeah, so I don't see Brian losing the title until
He's
Wrestle
done.
Dream at the earliest.
But I don't think I think his last full time match is the.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the end of the year.
So, but yeah, no, I'd absolutely do a Moxley feud with Danielson for the title.
Yeah, I mean, last time they feuded, it was
It's
it
great.
ruled. Yeah. We move on to the women's title match.
Hmm.
So Mariah and Tony. I thought this was presented really well. It was maybe a little early in the show for me. I think maybe hindsight is 2020, isn't it? So with the way
Mm.
both matches panned out in the ring, this is the match I would have put on later.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I
But
guess you can't. Well, I mean, you probably could know that these two were going to fucking kill it.
yeah, I thought the in-ring action in this one compared to the TBS title later on was much stronger.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, I think the TBS title was positioned there for a reason.
For look, I mean, the biggest star in the
Hmm.
women's division is Mercedes. Like, so that's.
But no, I thought Mariah put in a really good performance here.
I think everything in the match was well earned, which we
Hmm.
can't always say about the melodrama of Tony matches.
Yes.
I think this was the perfect marriage of the shtick and like a proper heated angle.
Hmm.
I remember there being some concern on Twitter and on like Discord and different places like that it was stupid to have Mariah turn heel because Mariah is English. She was going to get cheered
No. Yeah.
in England. But I think the two things that people underrated about that were one, how good Mariah was going to be in that heel turn angle, which she
Hmm.
was.
She was great. Yeah.
And two, I think the thing we all forgot about was that Tony Storm is beloved in the UK.
Yeah, I think yeah, if you're not from the UK or you haven't gone to a UK wrestling show with Tony Storm on it, you can't appreciate just how over Tony Storm is.
Yeah, she was having like I've seen her on so many shows where she might be having like a 5 or 8 minute match. Like this is before COVID,
Hmm.
all this sort of like before WWE. And like she'd have maybe like a 5 or 10 minute match and be more over than half the and it might be before
Yeah,
intermission and she's still more over than everybody outside the main event.
like
And she's much better at wrestling now.
we've seen her in Germany, we've seen her in Ireland, we've seen her in the UK,
I've seen her in the US as well.
and you've seen her in the US, and she always is over.
Yeah, yeah. Even before the wrestling came with her.
Hmm.
Like I think since she came to AEW, I think the
Oh,
wrestling has
she's really
picked up
yeah.
when she isn't doing shtick in the match. Like
Hmm.
she's a much better wrestler than she was. And I thought this match was brilliant. It was the right result.
Yes, absolutely.
Mariah should win. The one thing I would say that maybe chapped at me a little is post match. Tony
Getting her flowers.
well, no, not getting her flowers. I think that's fine. But I think she started doing her kind of like her spinning and her
Yeah,
posing as she was going up the ramp. And I think really what I would have liked to see is her completely drop like not for good, but in that moment, completely drop the stick because everything has been taken from her. It should have been pure rage. Do you know what
yeah.
I
I
mean?
think I loved Garrett was talking about this that Liam had the idea that that's Liam Jones of teenagechat.com.
TNHR.com.
The idea that in 2 weeks at all out they run it back, but they have a big stip and like do it like a hair versus hair match or something.
Here, I'm not sure, like a first blood, because blood has
Yeah,
been a real key part of the feud.
but yeah, if they're going to run it back and kind of get through the feud quickly, I
It,
think
di-
that would be a good idea.
it did give me the impression there's at least one more
Mm.
match left, and like Mariah should win that decisively as well. Because
Because
I think there's more. I think Tony would do it sometime either away from
mhm,
the title picture or switching her to TBS.
yes, well, I think that there's nothing really lined up for Sat or for Mercedes for All Out.
Yeah,
So I don't think there will be an issue with having Mercedes miss All Out and
yeah,
have Willow Stat have their blow off there
yeah,
and Tony and Mariah have their
yeah. And I would
blow off.
have of Willow Stat, I would have that person go for the women's title
Oh yeah, you have to.
against
Yeah,
Mariah, and I would have Tony move to
mm,
TBS for now. And I think that's two solid programs then for the rest of the year. Um, yeah, so that was like that post match bit was my only real critique. I think it was really good. I think it really delivered. I think it's set up Mariah to be a huge star
mhm.
in the division.
She just needs to. I think her promos need to get better,
Yeah.
but she also needs to be given the opportunity to get better to grow with
Yes.
it.
Yes. We need to get through the growing pains of her
Yeah,
being like thrown out on like even Collision to do some
yeah,
pre-tapes, a
absolutely.
bit more often. Then we had me going to the bathroom, uh, FTW title match, Hook defeating Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree,
He did.
with the UK's favorite wrestler, Big Bill,
Hmm.
and Brian Keith in the corner. Now, I did because I wanted to see if there would be a cool entrance for Hook. So I did unfortunately get subjected to a little bit of Fozzy.
Well, see, I left for Fuzzy because that's when I met Joey.
Yes, Joey was our Fozzy savior.
Yes.
Um, and apart from the, I did see you
I
sprint
ran back
in
in, yes, when I heard the beep,
the
beep, beep.
flat line.
Yes.
Yeah. But Papa didn't come out. I was hoping
No.
that because they showed, oh, this is what you didn't see. So before the flat line, they showed Hook over the shoulder walking through Gorilla and up the steps.
Okay.
And I thought when he got to the top of the steps, Taz would be there because
But
we didn't know who was that
yeah,
Taz
yeah.
was already at ringside because we didn't see him.
Yeah, that was one thing that they actually didn't do on the show. They didn't do any commentator entrances.
Yes. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, we only found out through Twitter that Jim Ross was on the
Yes, was
call
on
for
the
the
call
main
for the main
event,
event, yeah.
which was surprising to us because he did get a full entrance last year, didn't he?
Oh, he did, yeah.
Yeah. Um, all we've heard from like I didn't see any of this match. Did you see any of it?
I literally saw the closing minute, maybe.
Okay, so
Um,
what we heard from everyone around us up until that point that it was just kind of like bog standard
hmm.
walk and brawl plunder.
Yeah, look, it'd be fair for me to say it was a good or bad match because I didn't see enough of it. I did see Hook throw some cricket balls, and there was a barbed wire bump
Okay.
from Big Bill
Hmm.
through a barbed wire board on the table. And the most important bit was that Taz got physically involved and choked
Yes,
out Brian Keith.
which is something we've been hoping for all weekend.
Hmm.
Could Suit or somebody let us know because we've had a kind of not a wager, but we've had a hope all weekend that if Taz put the Taz mission and we when we did say Brian Keith would
Yeah,
play the
yeah,
Canada,
most likely, yeah.
whoever got the Taz mission, did Excalibur call the Kata Hajime or did he call it the Taz mission? I
Mm.
really want to know. I will be watching it back on Tuesday probably, but I do kind of want to know that. So that was that. We can't, like I said, we can't
Yeah,
really talk about it too much, but the finish was the right finish
hmm.
for that. And now if we could get Hook well away from Chris Jericho,
That would be great.
that would
Yeah,
be great. Because that entrance and him going over in 10 minutes did feel like, okay, let's heat Hook back up a
hmm.
little bit. But we've been here before,
We
so
have.
I won't get too
Yeah.
excited. We had the three-way tag team ladder match. The Young Bucks, FTR, and the
Did
Acclaim.
you say three-way ladder match?
The three-way tag team
No,
ladder
I
match.
said
Sorry.
that's not ladder match.
No. Why am I saying ladder
You keep
match?
saying ladder.
I keep saying ladder match. Is it just because the Young Bucks? I assume there's a ladder nearby. Yeah, three-way tag team match. My
Yes.
apologies, folks. Um, for the AW World Tag Team titles. I don't know how I feel about this one.
Um, they could sum it up. The Acclaim were stupidly over.
They were so they were over like it was 18 months, 2 years
Yeah.
ago in the building here. Now
I
the fact that they did the pre-roll before their entrance of the Oh Scissor Me Daddy
yeah, yeah,
Elimination
yeah.
Army. By the way, I should say it probably would seem to an American audience or a pay-per-view audience that the UK only knows one song, and that song is Seven Nation Army,
Yes.
because there's about four different chants on the show to the tune of Seven Nation Army. But however,
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the Acclaimed aren't for me. I am not a fan. I've never been a huge fan of the Acclaimed. Now,
I've always had quite soft spot for Bones. I think
oh
Bones
yeah,
could do something by himself, but
yeah.
the act is dead to me.
Billy Gunn being so heavily involved in the match was just
Yeah.
oh God. We were there a year ago when they won the trios titles, and it felt like it was over then.
Hmm.
And yet here they are still in title matches.
Yeah.
Um, I thought the action was solid, if not unspectacular in this. I thought it was like a perfectly fine match.
Yeah.
But this is now 2 years in a row where we've had a perfectly fine, kind of dull Young Bucks match at
Yeah.
Wembley.
They have hosted both times for me at Wembley.
Hmm.
And like I will say to FTR now, again, this is just in the building. What it felt like is that FTR were putting in a lot of effort to keep
Yes.
the match together.
Hmm.
And they were also stupidly over,
Yes,
to
they
be
were.
fair.
They really
Huge
were.
FTR was probably one of the biggest kind of uh acts in terms of representation in the crowd with t-shirts.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of FTR t-shirts this
Hmm.
weekend. Um Yeah, like I can't, yeah, I don't really feel very strongly. Like it was fine, but I wouldn't say it was any better or worse than any of the pre-show stuff we were talking about.
No,
It was like right middle of the road, kind
um,
of.
this was also one of the big debuts of the night, or well, re-debuts, I suppose, at this point,
Hmm.
as GYV showed up.
They did, and we were hoping to get that graphic that Grizzled Young Veterans have signed, but I guess the graphic treatment was reserved for one person
Yes.
in a later match. But hopefully, it seems like the most open goal signing Tony Khan could
Hmm.
make right now. Grizzled
Oh,
Young Vets.
the tag division is in desperate need of some fresh bodies.
I think this is something we talked about on Patreon over at largemanappears.com. We reviewed Double or Nothing 2019,
Hmm.
and we talked bemoaned, I would say, how tag team wrestling was what this company like did better than everyone else when
Hmm.
it started.
Well, they set out to do it
They
better.
set out to, and they've strayed from that quite a lot. And the division, despite having a lot of people, feels very thin.
Hmm.
And I think GYV are a great shake-up act.
Yeah, I'd have GYV like crush, like absolutely squash the Acclaimed on Wednesday.
Yeah, I would also when he should be back in a couple of weeks, but I think there's still mileage in Jay and Juice as a tag
I
team
mean,
because they were killing it on Collision last year.
if you're not going to have Jay as a singles champion, why not do a tag run with Juice?
Yeah, absolutely. You can really, it's one of those things. I guess it's a frustrating thing about AEW, isn't it?
Hmm.
Is that there's so many things that they are maybe a couple of small good decisions away from completely rebooting either an angle or a
Yeah.
division in this case. And we can only hope they would take it. We had the Casino Gauntlet
Oh
match.
man, this match.
This fucking ruled.
This was when the show really, really picked up.
This is going to now start to be neck and neck with Texas Death for signature matches that
Yes.
deliver.
This is now a staple, or should be a staple AEW match.
Yeah. Would you just do it maybe twice a year? Because
Yeah,
they've done it twice now
I
this
do
year.
one on TV and one on pay-per-view every year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be great to keep it for All In as well, like to give it that kind of like once a year kind
Yeah.
of, yeah, yeah. But I suppose like the headline moments here. Orange Cassidy doing a Mr. Bean entrance, completely
Oh, such a pop from us personally.
completely lost it. The like a lot of the crowd did.
Yeah.
Like it was a huge thing. And I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was maybe Rover that said, it's great that OC has Where Is My Mind this time coming out because
Hmm.
the Pixies are way more over in the
Yes.
UK than they are the US. And it was like there was a couple of moments where people were singing songs or chanting for people, and I just stood back and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And
People were singing "Where's My Man?"
yeah.
Yeah.
And as a Pixies fan, that did
Warm,
get
warm
straight
your
to my
cockles of
heart.
your heart.
It
Yeah.
really did, yeah, my cold dead heart. Um, him and Kazuchika Okada starting off is a great combo. Like you said, doing that kind of 1 and 2 in the Rumble and all
Yeah,
one
yeah.
match together is a
Hmm.
great idea. Um,
I like that's what I said. Like as soon as Okada came out, I was like, oh, this match, if it goes long now
yeah,
you've got like such a solid base.
yeah.
And little did I know what was to come.
But all bets were off then from entrant three
Uh,
when we heard the strains of the immortal fucking in the bushes.
yes. I love Tony Khan so much. He's such a nerd for going
Yeah.
out and buying this.
Nigel McGuinness returned to pro wrestling for it. I'm sad we don't have Garrett Kidney on tap right now, but we are pretty sure about 14 years,
Yes.
perhaps 13.
Yeah, it was either 2010 or 2011. I want to say 2010.
Yeah. And firstly, he looked in unbelievable
Yeah,
shape.
really not right.
And then he looked like, now I know with this kind of gauntlet multi-man thing, you can kind of
He
hide.
got a lot of rest.
He
Yeah.
got a lot of rest, but in the bits where he shone, he looked like he hadn't lost a step. And I would be hopeful and I would probably put money on this is not the last we will see of him.
Hmm.
I want him to have one of the last Brian matches, like not a pay-per-view
No, I
necessarily, but
don't
a
think it
big
needs.
TV.
I think they could do something on the TV, but yeah, it might
Yeah.
might bring in some kind of
You have to for the
fans.
sickos. Like you
Yeah.
have to do it for the sickos. It's the last chance we'll get. Well, I guess it's not really because Brian isn't fully retiring.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
But
Like you
also Nigel is
but
like I said.
you're not gonna have him surely you're not gonna have him debut now and then wait till Forbidden Door when they're back in the UK next year.
What really warmed me most about it all was the reception Nigel got.
Nigel had a huge reception.
It
Yeah,
was like proper. This guy deserves this
yeah,
moment.
yeah,
And if it is, if this is to be it for Nigel, I'm really glad he got it.
yeah. There was a sense of joy in Tony really wanted to get some people that he felt deserved it. A
Hmm.
Wembley, like I don't say
Yeah, I
moment,
know. I
but
don't.
a Wembley reaction is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to get them in front of a crowd at Wembley.
Hmm.
Um, Zack Sabre Jr. fresh off a G1 win in this match,
The G women are just coming here to bump
and,
and work with everybody.
and I loved continuity style. He goes straight for Orange Cassidy,
Yes.
and then there's moments with Okada.
Hmm.
There's good stuff there, things being set up,
Yes.
methinks. Mark Briscoe, one of the biggest pops on the show.
Such a pop. Get hearing a Dem Boys chant at Wembley. Like,
Huge Dem Boys chant at Wembley. It just again warms the cockles of the heart,
hmm,
doesn't it? Hanger, like the main character energy, like
all business.
yeah, yeah.
And again, like again, I don't know how it came across on on the show watching live, but in the building, another enormous reaction.
To maybe only be dwarfed by Jeff Jarrett right after him, the UK's own.
So happy to see Jeff.
He was great. And then of course the debut of Ricochet,
Yeah.
which got an enormous like they've reset a lot of the damage that was done to him when
Oh,
he was fucking Nightwing cosplayer in
yeah. No,
WWE.
we said it like instantly. He felt like a bigger star just based on his entrance than he ever did in WWE.
Yeah, yeah. Like maybe those first couple of takeovers in NXT, he felt like a big deal,
mm,
and then like definitely as soon as he got called off, that was
oh,
that
that
was
was
it. Like,
done, yeah.
yeah,
But I was surprised that Ricochet was such a surprise in that I would have thought that of the 50,000, like I felt like a lot of people around us were genuinely surprised that he showed up.
yeah. I think when he signed and nothing was said, maybe people were like, okay, like I had thought myself that maybe they'd wait till Dynamite and do his first match at All Out,
Mm,
because I was like, if they were going to surprise entrance, like give him a surprise entry in the gauntlet, they wouldn't have confirmed he'd signed.
yeah.
So yeah, that was a surprise for me, as was the return of Christian Cage,
Oh,
who came out and ultimately, with the assist of Killswitch, won the gauntlet.
but
This was no one in this building popped harder than our friend Jack sitting
yes,
beside us.
I I think Christian winning the way he won it is possibly the best result of the match.
I think, right, so this guy coming out in a field is stacked and winning, I don't think works for everybody.
No.
But one of our friends said on Twitter that it works so perfectly for the Christian Cage character because his character is that he's the ultimate shithouse.
And we all should have seen it coming because Christian has spent the last, I want to say, 2 months saying how the trios titles were going to be the launch pad to get back to the world title for him.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
he
it's
just didn't
literally
say how quickly.
the night he lost the trios titles,
Yeah,
he gets a shot.
and also in kind of
I
gimmick.
think so.
So that's good to have in the back pocket. He seems like a guy that would really relish the being able to
To lose.
hold no to not only lose but to
Yeah.
hold it over a champion's head. Oh, I might,
Mm,
and he's believably cowardly.
yes.
But also, I thought what was interesting was to have Killswitch come out and be introduced as Luchasaurus with the Luchasaurus video.
Yeah.
So they're getting every time they're getting closer to that turn, and you could feel the moment they tease the turn in the ring. We're
Some people were
nearing
into it.
we're
Yeah.
nearing the point where it has to happen.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I think you can sustain it for a couple more months, but I think you got to
They
consider
have to
doing
really,
that
yeah,
soon.
the heeses kind of have to be played down a little bit.
Now, I guess the only problem with it is like, what do you do with the Luchasaurus after? But like, I mean, that's
I
a
mean,
problem
look,
for another day, isn't it?
5 years into the company, I don't think anyone expected Luchasaurus to still be here.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. We had this is the match I want to rewatch the most. Will Ospreay MJF, because
Hmm.
from where we were sat, this was excellent.
Yes.
Now, do I think watching it on TV might change the experience? Because we really only got one close up of an MJF NXT face.
Which was off the Brainbuster.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well behaved he was in this match in
Mm.
terms of that kind of like that level of theatricality that loses people sometimes.
He did seem to be doing a lot of shutting down the camera. I will
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah. Now apparently, do you know who the cameraman he took out was?
Was that big Claudio looking guy?
He took out a cameraman whose arse fell out when he
Oh,
hit. Well, his boxers fell out when the cameraman hit the ground. It was Chuck Mambo,
oh,
seemingly, because Chuck Mambo tweeted that cameraman sure looked handsome.
oh, of course.
Yeah. So there was a lot of that level of UK and Ireland indie guy if you were watching close enough on it on this show. But I thought this match was very good, and I think they earned they finally paid off the Tiger Driver
Yes,
thing,
they did.
which is good because again, I don't think he could have held that off much longer. I think once
Daniel
Brian told him to do
did
it,
they use the thing.
yeah,
I did like the early teases with the ref bumps.
yeah,
Um,
we had a kick out of a Stormbreaker.
we did the Stormbreaker is now officially a secondary finisher,
Yeah,
which is good. Um, I thought that the ref bump actually felt earned because of the teases.
yeah,
Like everyone knew it was coming,
yeah,
but the match I felt like I think everybody knew this was going to be the most dramatic match,
yes.
and
It was going to be the most forced epic style.
and I don't think it disappointed in that sense, but I do think it wasn't as good as the hour-long match from TV.
No,
But that's not to say I really enjoyed this match.
I think it built really well. And I
Mhm.
think the swerve of somebody in a black mask comes out to attack MJF, and
Mhm.
it's not Adam Cole. It's
Yeah,
Danny Garcia, I think is great. And I can only hope this means he's re-signed because I am very interested in a Garcia MJF match, and I would be confident that MJF would want to put over Garcia in that.
I think MJF is on very much a redemption tour this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. He's somebody that has been talked about on podcasts and articles and stuff like that. The vibe of very much gotten to by how much people
Mhm.
hated 2023 run. And if one of the things we get out of that is Danny Garcia being elevated
Yes.
in a feud, I think that's great. And if we get back to Red Death Daniel Garcia, rather than like as we were talking to Jack and some other guy on the train on the way back, it's like much as the dancing bit is admittedly very good and hilarious in isolation, it's not what we want from
No,
him.
no, no.
It's not what we want from him. We want him to be a cold-blooded killer.
Mhm.
Um, oh God, TBS Championship match.
This was the worst match on the show, and I don't think it's close.
Look, Mercedes tried,
Yes.
but also didn't have a great night
No.
either. I think the thing about Mercedes that is a common criticism is that she can be very sloppy,
Mhm.
but in the right context, and if you put the match together, that sloppiness actually works and enhances the match. I think particularly whenever I saw Mercedes in WWE wrestle Asuka, it felt like a fight. You know, a wrestler of that nature, it feels like a fight. In this, it just felt like they were in two different
Yeah,
matches.
look, Britt we know has never been a great wrestler.
Yeah.
I think she can be carried to a
And
really great match.
and there's a couple of wrestlers she has
Mhm.
great chemistry with, like Thunder Rosa.
Yes. But this doesn't work. I really hope this is it done now because I don't ever need to see these two in a ring together
Yeah,
again.
because not only was it bad, but I had no belief in watching it that they could do a better version of that match. I think Mercedes can obviously do much better, but I
Mhm.
think, like, I'm not saying Brit is wash, but I'm saying this is Brit, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the impressions I got that I was kind of surprised by, and I don't know how influenced this was by any Twitter rumors,
Mm.
reports, things like that, but London was very much over Brit.
Yeah. Like
They popped for the entrance and then
Mhm.
completely tuned out for the whole match.
like the apart from the entrance and the DMD bit, but other than that, like until the very closing stretch, I don't feel like the crowd gave a fuck.
Yeah,
Because I also don't think anybody believed that Mercedes was losing here.
no, no, I don't think anyone believed her for a second. I'll tell you one thing though, Camille looks like just $1 million.
Yeah, she looked great.
Like I hope they fully Sean Diesel that
Yes.
whole thing and they
Take your
hold
time.
off, take your
Take your
time,
time.
take your
Yeah.
time. Just have Camille squashing people.
Mhm.
If you want to have her like wrestle every Ring of Honor taping as
Yeah.
well and just get rack up wins, 100% do it. Um, yeah, I really can't like, and the finish was so sloppy and anticlimactic, and
Yeah,
that
oh
with the
God,
kind of like
yeah,
the lockjaw, the Monet makers, is that what it's called? Yeah, which like it just someone needs to sit her down and tell her to change that finish. Like
yeah.
it's never looked good one time, and like Brit is one of the slighter girls on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only person that's probably slighter than her in the whole roster is Riho. So if she can't hit it on Brit and have it look anyway good,
Yeah,
like what's she gonna do if she feuds? Like, or if she tries to hit it on when she was feuding with Willow.
yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like any of the like if she feuds with Stat, like
yeah.
imagine
No,
her trying to hit that move on like a woman that's like a clear foot taller than her
yeah, no.
nearly.
She really needs to come up with something else because it doesn't work.
Yeah. Um. Okay. So then we had. I think I was surprised by how into this match I was. The coffin match.
This was really good.
Like I was saying to you in the middle of the match, I was like, does Jack Perry get it?
He does.
Yeah, because like there's sometimes where I think like this poor guy, he's in the unenviable position is like there is a chance that CM Punk chance will follow him till the day he dies.
Oh, he ate them up.
But I think him leaning into it has been incredibly smart.
Hmm.
And something I said to you, I was like, wouldn't it be great if he came out to Cry Me a River? You know, people have been pitching him to come out to Nirvana because of the
Hmm.
Raven comps people are making online. And he didn't. He came out to his normal song. But something I couldn't have foreseen him doing was pouring out the glass and hitting the Raven
The
pose.
Raven. Oh, I lost him for that.
And then this leading to this was the ultimate surprise for me. London singing Cry Me a
Yeah,
River and then like thundering fuck CM Punk.
yeah.
Like on the site of where the unpleasantness happened a year ago.
I actually shut up the WWE fans behind us
Yeah,
right after that because they were kind of talking about Punk or whatever, and I just
yeah,
went, "Do you know what this match needs? It would be so much better if it was about a friendship bracelet." And they
yeah,
just didn't speak for the rest of the
yeah,
match.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
great.
yeah. This was really good, and Darby's a madman.
Oh, he's insane.
Thumbtacks glued to his face from
That's
the
what it
start of the
looked
match.
like to
That's
us.
how the match started.
Yeah.
Yeah. The glass spots, obviously Jack going into the glass,
Mhm.
was
The
great.
bump off the stage
Bump
looked
off the
fucking
stage.
nuts.
Fucking as soon as Jack Perry came out with the body bag, I was like, oh, here we go. So it wasn't the scariest body bag stuff that Derby's ever done,
No,
but like it nearly was because after the match, the
do you know what? Were you surprised at just how clean the finish was, where Jack just won?
no, because I think Darby is one of the people in on the roster they can actually just keep beating and he never gets
Hmm.
less over. Now, I wouldn't test the theory, let him
No.
go on a losing streak, but I think he can lose these big spots and just come back
Hmm.
as big as he ever has been. Whereas Jack needed it
Yes.
he needs those establishing wins
Hmm.
to be this champion. And I didn't want him to lose yet anyway, because I actually think the belt he designed is rad.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
And that vignette of him making it is great.
Hmm.
Um, yes, so the Young Bucks come out with a canister of petrol and they are intent on setting him on fire. And I had literally said to Brony about 10 minutes beforehand, I was like, this show is way better than last year in
Hmm.
ring. So the only thing last year still has over this year is Seek and Destroy.
I
I
wasn't
swear
aware.
to God I said that.
I wasn't aware you said that.
I
Yeah.
swear to God I said that. And then the lights go out and Seek and Destroy plays. And as you were telling me from Twitter, commentary made it all make sense that Sting had promised to
To
be
keep,
the watchful eye and the avenging
yes,
angel of AEW and
to
of
keep
Darby.
to keep an eye on Darby. Yeah.
And he came out, whomped everyone, and it was a great like that's the warm feeling in the
Yeah,
tummy
that
moment.
that that
Like
was the
that's
real like that was your Wembley moment this year.
and they did it in such a way that I don't feel like it made like do you know what I mean? Him popping up only 6 months after his retirement. I
Hmm.
don't feel like it tarnished that in
Oh
any
no,
way.
not at all.
Yeah,
Because he didn't come here to have a match. He came here to stop Darby being lit on fire.
yeah. Um, I can't have an unbiased view of the main event.
Does
Um,
anybody want to have an unbiased view of the main event?
I had hair standing on end for the video and the final countdown.
Hmm.
I had tears in my eyes
Yeah.
at the final bell. Um, it was special. Um, like I suppose before we talk about him, Swerve looked big time.
I swear, Swerve
Swerve
came
looked
across like such a star here.
the establishing world title run has
Mm.
been a success,
Yeah.
a complete success. And people will be ready for it to go back to him in the near future.
Yeah,
You know,
heel or face, he can absolutely now be a world champion at any time, and it's gonna feel earned. And
I would say it also like what a geek Tony Khan is and how much he loves the sickos that he booked the most Ring of Honor ass referential main event of all time. Jimmy Rave's jacket,
yeah,
which kind of choked me up again a little because
mhm.
I was already there emotionally. And then you have Final Countdown and you have Brian, like the significance of getting to be in the building and seeing Brian Danielson win his last world championship in his career, 25 years. Like I tweeted it in the middle of his entrance. I was like, that is the greatest wrestler to ever walk the earth.
Yeah. I don't like. I'm struggling to put the words here, but like I put it in our VOW Slack right at the end of his entrance. Like I had chills down my spine
Yeah.
when he came out on the stage, and it just never got any lower than that because
Yeah.
I just knew right then. I was like, this the whole thing is just going to be so special, and
Yeah.
it was.
I think there'll be people that'll be a little bit miffed they missed Sting. I think it'll be a little bit miffed that they missed Nigel. But I think this match and the end of this match I think are the bit where people who didn't travel this year will be very upset with themselves that they didn't.
Yeah, there was 30,000 people extra at All In 2023. And of those 30,000 people that didn't come to 2024, like you've got to believe like 95% of them watched that main event at home and went, damn.
It ended the show the like it had to be like he had to win. But I think the way they left you on the show was the exact opposite of what they did last year.
Mm.
When MJF Cole ended, I was just like, I don't even know if I want to tune in on Wednesday. I might need a
No,
break. Like just I just feel completely
we, we,
exhausted.
we talked about this on the way out. The total difference in the atmosphere outside of the venue, walking to the train station, it was just night and day.
They were
And
doing
everyone was so
on the
happy.
way back last year, they were doing WWE chants.
Yes.
On the way back this year, it was all Danielson chants, Swerve's house,
Yes.
and we hate Tottenham.
Yeah, there was a lot of we hate
There
on
was a lot of we hate Tottenham. Tottenham, sorry if you're a Tottenham Hotspur fan listening. You got a fucking battering in the train station. We
um,
hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham.
but yeah, just the whole match. I thought the presentation. The only thing that I would have changed about the whole presentation is I would have had Bobby Cruz do the ring
Yeah,
introductions.
yeah, that would have been nice.
But like, I'm not gonna knock it for that. Like we said it when Danielson got busted very early on in the match,
Yeah,
and then Swerve dragged like an almost lifeless Danielson 5 minutes into the match over in front of his wife and kids to
yeah.
then stomp him in the face.
Did you read what he said to him?
No,
He said to the kids, "Is like you want Daddy to come home? I'm going to send him home." And then my favorite part, Nana looking Birdie in the eye and doing the dance at her,
yeah, rough.
just perfect,
But like
perfect.
we said it, like somebody please make Brian watch Beyond the Mat. The kids don't need
I
to see this.
I'm also quite convinced after that spot that he has very much watched Beyond the Mat and was
And yeah,
trying to work his Beyond the Mat.
but God, like the match just picked up an intensity from there, which just sounds insane, but it did.
It just kept coming back and Swerve kept hitting him with the kicks. Like this is the other thing as well that the run has established is that the world title run. But the one underlying thing that never changes about Swerve's character is that he will do anything to win.
He will pull that trigger.
Yeah,
Whereas the whole thing with Osprey was he didn't have it anymore.
yeah.
Swerve has never faltered. He will always take that kill shot if he gets a chance.
One thing that also never changes is Hangman's lust for vengeance. Now, I think they did great with this
Yes.
because they brought Hanger out. They had him attempt to attack Swerve.
Mm-hmm.
He got He got accosted by the jobbers cosplaying as security. Um, and then a full maybe 3 or 4 minutes of them
Yes.
happened after that. So it didn't lead directly to a
No,
finish.
it was a distraction, but it wasn't the finish.
So you furthered the story without tarnishing the win
Hmm.
that we all waited for. Now, not that the crowd in the building would have had a problem. I
No.
think once Brian won, if he had to do it by fully shooting Swerve with a shotgun, they would have taken it.
But no, I think they built everything so fantastically well. Like Brian busting out like the Regal Plex, the Regal Stretch,
Cat
Cat
mutilation.
Mutilation. He
We were the two of us rooting for an unbreakable small package
Yes.
finish.
We had the Tiger suplex off the top rope. Like Brian went deep into his repertoire,
Yeah.
and obviously he became the first person to kick out a JML driver in AEW.
Yes.
Um, I thought Swerve, like we've talked about Danielson, but I thought Swerve was right there with him the whole match.
Was right there with him.
I thought he was phenomenal.
I noticed one slight mistake when he kind of like he is when he did the back. It was just a little. I think he moved a little too quick.
Yeah,
But like
it's
literally,
right on.
that's such a
Yeah,
slight.
yeah,
That's such a,
yeah.
and like immediately recovered and hit the spot anyway. But like, yeah, he's like anybody that doesn't think Swerve has moved on leaps and bounds,
Mhm.
particularly in the last year. I think you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, like
I think you're kidding yourself. I think it's one of those things like, do you know, there was a lot of humming and hot. Like, I know it's a weird comparison. But do you remember when Taven and Bennett debuted in
mhm.
AEW and people were like, oh, these
they
fucking shit
they
heaps?
dug in. Yeah, yeah.
You're just like, it's such a outdated take.
Yes.
It's the same with the Swerve thing. Now, like I've always like I've loved Swerve since the Kill Shot days.
Hmm.
Because I was a big Lucha Underground guy. You weren't,
I was not yet.
but I've always thought there was something there. I didn't necessarily think he had bona fide world champion until the last maybe 18 months. And I think he's definitely proved my faith in him was correct. And I
Hmm.
think like I said, I think this run, yes, it is over. Yes, it will move on from him now for a few months at least, while Brian does his goodbye tour. But I think, as we kind of said at the top of the show, you have introduced a very credible new
Hmm.
main eventer. And also, key, I noticed in all the posters around London, in the underground stations, in all the marquees walking down Wembley Way, and in all the kind of the kind of like the
Promotional
art, the
material.
promotional
Yeah.
material around locally, the people that were pushed most of the front weren't ex WWE main eventers. Like Brian was there on the poster,
Mm.
and Mercedes was there on the poster, but very prominently featured are Darby, Hangman,
Swerve.
Swerve,
Osprey.
Osprey. I guess Tony as well, that kind of
Yeah.
in between where like she was never
She
the
was
main
never a
eventer
WWE
in
person. No,
WWE, but
she was main
she
roster for
was
only a
there.
very short time.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to say in kind of wrapping up here, because it's now gone past 2 a.m. and
Hmm.
we are quite sleepy.
Yes.
But I do want to say they have, in terms of booking and booking a way forward, this is a way better. There's something about last year's one that felt like a very disappointing season finale for the AEW we loved.
Hmm.
And this feels like not chapter one, but it feels like a really important establishing chapter that could very well get us back on the way to something we're more passionate about because you position a lot of people up and down the cards in very interesting ways.
Hmm.
The other thing in terms of booking is I've never agreed with the 1-2 punch of all in, all out. However, I think they did a way better job realizing they've got two pay-per-views in 2 weeks
Yeah.
and have moved some things. They don't necessarily have to pull the trigger. Like they don't have to go to Swerve Hangman, but they could if they wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, it's
They
right there.
don't. If Mox is back, then they could do Mox and Pack, or they could do Mox and Brian, but they don't have to.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? They've given themselves options.
Yeah.
Books and GYV seems like a thing that will happen sooner rather than later.
Again, the books might have all out off, and they'll do GYV FTR.
Yes, which I would very much enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I I think what's interesting in tires online on the way back on the train, the vibe is maybe I'm back in.
Yeah, that seems to be the big takeaway from especially the main event. Again, people that were totally out based on like last year really taking them out of the promotion
Yeah.
and like the ensuing 12 months maybe not getting them back in as much as people would have expected.
Oh, hey, Sean, by the
That
way.
now having watched today's show, that they maybe not don't want to say all the way back in, but
Yeah.
definitely bought back in to a degree. And it's not just that Danielson is the champion.
Yeah.
I think that the show was such a uber success that like people now are willing to give this kind of, I don't want to say new AW a chance, but like
Hmm.
this new direction, and they have kind of they've bought back some leeway from people, and they have an opportunity now to reestablish that difference, really make themselves the alternative, because we heard Osprey say that this company was created to be the alternative, so let's be the fucking alternative.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And having Brian Danielson as your champion going out there having these type of main events is an alternative. There was no fucking legends pops in the main event here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This was a stadium show that was built around this main event.
Yeah. For sure. And like all the building for the future while also giving the greatest of all time his flowers. Like
It was perfect.
you couldn't have stuck landing better. So I'm coming out of this jazzed. Um, I'm delighted that I'm going into a couple of weeks off work because now I can watch Dynamite and Collision live without having to worry
Yes.
about being up in the morning. Um, so yeah, guys, thank you so much
Yep.
for listening to this post show. I wouldn't be, it's being counter programmed with my wedding next year. So I will not be over for it. Otherwise, there will be no wedding. I hope you enjoyed the post show.
But hey, Texas is not off the table yet.
It's fully off the table. Um, there will be some pre shows happening before
Yes,
the
there
end of the year.
absolutely will. Yeah.
Please though, if you're not somebody that already listens to Days of Thunder on Voices of Wrestling, please listen. I think you will enjoy it. It's kind of a support group for getting through the end run of WCW. We have just entered the Vince Russo era. If you have been listening to the free shows and want to get a little bit more of this, where we're talking about stuff that isn't WCW, you can go to alargemanappears.com. Obviously, I want to thank Joe and Rich for giving us the keys to the VOW YouTube for the night. They won't be doing that again.
No, they won't.
But it was an absolute pleasure, as always, to be part of this network.
Hopefully, we haven't burned down the territory.
Hopefully, we haven't. We're going to now go and listen back to the instant reaction live on the $10 tier on VOW to hear how Joe completely disagreed with everything he just said.
But yeah, thanks for checking us out, guys. We really appreciate it. And like Dave said, largemanapears.com for more kind of current wrestling thoughts from us in particular, and also like a wide variety of stuff that you would not expect us to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you very much, folks. Good night.